Hello everybody and welcome to lyranara.com, and today we're gonna have a look at cancer and more specifically how and why it develops in your body. And of course, as always, we're gonna put also a special focus on how to treat it holistically, naturally, without any side effects in the second part of the presentation. And why we wanted to do this presentation, because it is quite funny or strange to say it like that, cancer research is the area where we spend the most money. Billions and billions of dollars have been spent in the last 20-30 years on cancer research all over the world. In the US alone, billions, and so far no results, or very little. The numbers of cancer patients, of death through cancer are going up still, so there is no real solution. So that brings us to the question if maybe the whole theory behind cancer is wrong altogether, that the mainstream is promoting, and that's why we haven't found a cure for cancer. And this is exactly what we're gonna dive in this presentation. And as always, of course, the second part will be about solutions. So without further ado, let's learn more about the mainstream theory of how you develop cancer in your body, and then some alternative ones that have been also published scientifically, as you will see, and have been put forward by some very famous doctors over the years. And for your better orientation, here a short overview of the contents of this presentation. We're going to start with the mainstream view on how you develop cancer. First theory is about genetics, oncogenic genes, and the second one is based on a viral infection that causes the cancer. And then we're going to look at alternative theory that has been put forward and in our opinion has some very, very well-founded facts that back it up, which is based on the theory that microparasites cause cancer. We're going to go through this whole research that was performed by some very, very well-regarded doctors over the years. And then, of course, the third part of this presentation is going to be, as always, focusing on holistic treatment solutions, so you can really tackle your cancer without side effects, cancer therapies that work, natural supplementations, etc. So let's dive right in. So the first mainstream theory about cancer is the so-called genetic dogma, whereby medicine considers cancer to be a genetic disease because of the transition from a normal healthy cell to a malignant cell, which is supposedly driven by changes in the cell's DNA, also known as mutations. So the cells in the human body work together, of course, dividing and reproducing in a strictly controlled and coordinated way. The DNA replication is an essential part of the cell's division, and the cell makes an identical copy, blueprint, so to speak, of its genome before it divides, distorted by the RNA. The mutations can occur during this DNA replication, which is changing the genome of the new cells. And most of these mistakes are quickly repaired by healthy cells, but sometimes mistakes do change the DNA blueprints indeed. If these mutations occur in genes that control growth, so proto-oncogenes and tumor suppressor genes, uncontrolled cell growth occurs, which leads to tumor formation and cancer. Proto-oncogenes encourage the cell to multiply, and if these genes become mutated, they instruct the cells to multiply all the time, and these are then called oncogenes. Tumor suppressor genes stop the cell from multiplying, and if these genes are mutated and stop working, the cells may carry on the cancer proliferation process. So to become cancerous, a cell must acquire mutations in several growth controlling genes, and the mutations can accumulate over many years before a cell becomes cancerous, and this is why cancer is more common in elderly people. Initially also the tumor is confined to the tissue in which it is located, for example the breast tissue, but as the tumor gets bigger it requires more nutrients, so it starts developing its own blood vessel network, and this process is called angiogenesis. The cancer cells then develop the ability to migrate around the body via your bloodstream or the lymphatic vessels, and this process is called metastasis. And some individuals inherit a predisposition to certain cancers. Okay, so that was the first mainstream theory on how we develop cancer. The second one is the so-called virus dogma. Well, in the 1970s, this theory was developed, which according to cancer cells are results of virus infections. So viruses are only hypobiotic protein fragments. They are not easy to define. The reasons they penetrate healthy cells and interfere thus in the host cellular metabolism. Through host cells' normal mitosis, the viruses are also multiplied and the tumor starts growing, according to this theory. Today we have electronic microscopes that realize up to 500,000 times magnifications, and in spite of these magnificent tools, viruses have never really been characterized, measured or separated in cancer patients. Those pictures you see here on the right, that are also on TV many times, that show you the Ebola virus or the HIV virus, hepatitis B or C, are simply pictograms. It's in our opinion a hoax with a lot of money involved in vaccination programs or antibiotics, etc., etc. So far, that's what you have to realize. Even though we have these magnificently powerful tools like those microscopes, we have never been able to film those viruses live. And viruses are actually only tiny little protein fragments that result from the asexual microparasites or bacteria proliferation. They are a piece of dead flesh, PROTOZOA genetic material proteins. And during this presentation you will see how the microparasites actually asexually multiply and release hypobiotic genetic information which can survive in blood plasma or outside the host's body, in the dust for example, for many years. And from there, through inhalation, ingestion or injuries, the microparasites genetic material, which is protected by a hard capsule, penetrates the new host and triggers thereby an infectious disease. And this is how a flu, Ebola, HIV, antivirus, tetanus, etc., all those epidemics start. This hypothesis was extensively documented and filmed live and experimentally proven also by Dr. Alfons Weber and other microbiologists and doctors over the years. You can actually do this by yourself. You need just a normal microscope, dark field microscope with 5,000 times magnification only, and it's very easy to repeat the Dr. Weber's experiments and see it for yourself. One of the microparasite infections, the carriers are the meat and bone meal used in cattle fodder, and thus present in any cattle or poultry meat. For decades, the meat from cattle, swine, poultry has been severely infected with microparasites that result from this genetic material. So viruses that have been treated with tons of antibiotics. These so-called merocytes, which is the genetic material of the microparasites, is surviving heat, cold and chemicals, And microparasites are the primary and oldest life form on this planet, and their adaptation capabilities are better than ours. Some microparasitic infested genetic material is abundantly present in poultry excrements, for example, and in manure, which are then unfortunately spread as fertilizers over our soils. So the cancer virus dogma is easy to combat with the existent experimental methods, and in spite of this, it has never been scientifically demonstrated, contrary to the next theory that we're going to show you, which is based on those microparasites that we've already mentioned here. So this theory that cancer is caused by microparasites has been put forward already and published widely in scientific papers and filmed, and we're gonna show you also some live footage of those microparasites in a later video, so subscribe to our channel. You're gonna be amazed. Was put forward already during the 1970s the first time by a doctor called Dr. Alphonse Weber, who developed this theory about microparasitic, the origins of cancer and many other chronic conditions. And he postulated and experimentally demonstrated that the real cause of cancer is the so-called plasmodial parasitic infectious blood infection. Dr. Weber's work is based on thousands of biological in vitro and in vivo experiments with tissues and blood samples that he collected from cancer patients during their life and even after their death. And all of these blood and tissue tests and samples confirmed the microparasitic infection. Dr. Weber's work about the plasmodial parasitic origin of cancer is exceptionally well and accurately documented. He filmed live many of his tests and blood samples measurements in different cancer phases, and as I said, stay tuned on this channel. We're gonna make a video only with his live footage. Dr. Weber's theory was widely supported by many studies and experiments done by renowned biologists and doctors such as Robert Koch, Pasteur, Tamara Lebedeva, microbiology, Max von Pettenkofer Institute, today part of the Medicine University in Munich, Germany, Dr. Alan Cantwell, from Professor Dr. Peter Duisburg, Sir Henry Britlin, Wilhelm Reich, etc., etc. And you can also learn more about this by reading the book Cancer Microbe. Dr. Weber's conclusion was that the protozoa are more pathogenic than any bacteria and fungi together and are the real cause of cancer and other chronic diseases. So how can we explain the exponential spread of cancer from the 1950s to today that is still ongoing, despite all of the billions of dollars, as I've mentioned in the introduction, that we've thrown at cancer research in many of the developed countries all over the world? Well, through the international traffic, the traveling around the globe, the globalized economy, and our globalized food supply chain, the mechanized and intensive fertilizing with animal excrements and feeding the animals bone and meat meal, all already infected, of course, with protozoa genetic material, through excessive vaccination, the use of antibiotics, blood transfusions, and direct insects and animal bites. This so-called CA-PARASITIC, which are cancerous microparasites, as we mentioned already, are epidemically spreading around the globe. Either the insect is directly infecting a blood capillary, or through lymphatic tract, the parasites are penetrating into your bloodstream. These microparasites, which are plasmodia-like, so plasmodia parasites are those causing malaria, by the way, are difficult to be identified in blood lab work, and because they are very hidden inside of the red blood cells, also called erythrocytes. And the environmental toxicity, electrosmog burdens, GMO, and poor quality food that we are using and ingesting nowadays, also together with stress, psycho-emotional overload. All of those factors together are also weakening our bodies, and thus those microparasites can penetrate and they can thrive. They are very resilient, and then it becomes only a question of when and not if we develop such debilitating chronic conditions such as cancer. And Dr. Weber wrote two very important books. In '69, the one is called About the Causes of Cancer Disease, and in '70 he published Pathogenic Protozoa in Blood, Organs, and Tumors Tissue. We highly recommend that you read those if you are further interested in the subject and his findings. Microparasites or protozoa are defined as a group of unicellular eukaryotic organisms. Protozoa are single-celled organisms with animal-like behavior such as motility and predation and nutrition and excretion and sexual proliferation. And the members of protozoa are the ciliates, the amoebae, and the flagellates. Okay, so let's look at how cancer develops in stages due to these microparasites in your organism. Those microparasites penetrate the red blood cells, so the so-called erythrocytes, where they proliferate and multiply, and then they practically break and dissolve the capillary blood vessel walls using the lysosome enzymes. At this stage, the parasites invasively migrate extravascularly into your connective tissue and the organ's parenchyma, where the organ's tissue is destroyed, creating what we know today as a degenerative chronic disease. The final stage of this CA-Protozoa infection is marked by the invasion of the stem cells. The first defense mechanism of the stem cells is the so-called vacuolization. So they enclose those parasites in small blisters inside of them. But when there are too many parasites, so too many vacuoles are formed inside of them, the stem cell starts dividing to minimize the number of vacuoles that are stuffed within the with parasites inside of it. And this is known as mitosis and leads to hyperplasia. Once the nutrients for the parasites that are being kept enclosed in the stem cell vacuoles have dried up, the stem cells also start dividing to reduce the number of parasites, or the second option they have is so-called stem cell apoptosis. So it's a cell death, which is caused by the toxicity and the starvation of the cell. And at this stage, the microparasites become free again, and depending on the organs that are invaded and the general health state of the patient, the first symptoms might appear, such as skin rashes, eczemas, joint and lymphatic system inflammation, and edemas, and dysfunctions up to a total shutdown of the organ's functionality. The cancer tumor is the latest stage of this infectious process, and itself it develops in 4 stages. The first one is the so-called protozoa intravascular compensated infection. So this is still within your blood vessels. The second stage is the protozoa intravascular decompensated infection, still within your blood vessels. The third stage is called a protozoa extravascular compensated infection. So here there is a migration of those microparasites from your blood vessels into your connective tissue and organs. And the fourth stage is the so-called protozoa extravascular decompensated infection, where those microparasites migrate into your stem cells. The cancer stages through CA-Protozoa infection are very similar, for example, to a malaria infection or toxoplasmosis, because those are also caused by microparasites. And those protozoa, those microparasites, go through a whole life cycle. They are living organisms, as you will also see in the video they're gonna release very soon too, where you see live footage of those protozoa and how they develop and how they affect the cells. And the young protozoa are known as so-called oocytes. They are penetrating the red blood cells. They live inside of them, and they use their enzymes to drill and to penetrate them. They nourish themselves with hem. Their development cycle achieves quickly the so-called trophozoite stage. The adult parasites are known as gametocytes. They are shaped like a small croissant, and they can be inside the red blood cells or are swimming around in the blood plasma. Those gametocytes are multiplying either by two-cell division or through sexual conjugation, when two gametocytes from two different red blood cells sexually conjugate. These blood cells are clumping also. There is not only one type of protozoa that induces cancer. There are different protozoa that can cause cancer, and those were all listed by Dr. Weber and summed up as so-called CA protozoa. The characteristics of protozoa are they can independently move around and may even have a suction cup organ. And they have their own metabolism, and they use the same gases as animals and humans, so oxygen and nitrogen. They feed themselves with glucose and proteins, and they use water and other fluids as well as light. They are a unicellular organism with a cellular membrane. They are spraying many toxic substances into your cells. With isolated protozoa, you can induce cancer in animals and humans. That has been proven. Protozoa can be grown in fertilized chicken eggs also, for example. They proliferate through so-called mitosis and asexual amitosis at a very, very high rate. They use human body cells and their energy, and thus the membrane potential decreases from 70 to 100 millivolts to 15 millivolts and lower. Protozoans range in diameter from a few thousandths of a millimeter to several millimeters, so they are very small, but they can still be very well observed under a microscope with not that great of a magnification. And those protozoa infections cause cancer only in the final stages, but before that they can already cause a lot of other conditions that might be very debilitating. So first they change the quality of the blood, so the viscosity increases, the erythrocytes are clumping, and they lose their biconcave shape. So the cell's superficial tension decreases due to the changes in electrical charge, and oxygen transport is severely hampered, which leads even to cell death. The blood circulation is also significantly impaired, so infected erythrocytes lose hemoglobin. They go into anemic state, and the glucose, the plasma protein serum, and the cholesterol, all of these substances are now missing in the host metabolism, and this is why cancer patients have also very often diabetes 2, anemia, or even leukemia, high cholesterol and globulin values. They're also cyanotic often, undernourished, tired and fatigued, and just simply toxic. Hyperplasia is also a possible outcome of these protozoa infections. It is boosted to enhance stem cell division and proliferation, and is followed soon by so-called hypoplasia. Leukemia is one of the consequences of blood hypoplasia, for example. The erythrocytes and the lymphocytes counts are also diminishing, so dead cells and cellular debris are swimming in your bloodstream. The capillary permeability is reduced, and the general capillary circulation is impaired more and more. So the gases cannot be purged, oxygen cannot permeate the capillaries, and blood is underoxygenated. Also, cellular debris is not excreted properly, so you become more and more toxic. Another infection consequence is that the infected blood plasma is leaking out into your connective tissue and into your organs. So the protozoa are now infecting the lymphatic vessels and the lymph nodes, as well as the endocrine glands, the cartilages, and your organs. And this is stage 2 or 3 of extravascular compensated infection. The blood vessels also are either too dilated or too constricted or obstructed. Some are become completely blocked. Aneurysms may appear to support blood circulation, and other side effects of plasmodial infections are, for example, microinfarction, necrosis, obturation, chronic heart insufficiency, heart arrhythmia, valve insufficiency, and this might go as far as a heart attack or even a stroke. The microparasite invasion of the lymphatic system leads also to swollen, painful lymph nodes, which is called lymphadenitis. What are the cancer-specific infection symptoms? So, how do those stem cells proliferate, which is also called atypical mitosis, and create tumors when they are becoming infected with those microparasites? Well, the mutated cells are the result of the microparasitical invasion of the stem cells. So to get rid of those parasites, the stem cells start to overproliferate. The parasites that had invaded the stem cells lose the correct genetic information, and mutations start to occur. And when the foreign parasitic DNA material is interfering with the own human DNA, the proliferation and cellular division is potentiated with the aim to save the own DNA and discard the invader's DNA. Spontaneous cancer remission is actually a longer process than considered initially, and is triggered when the parasitic infection has been completely healed. Dr. Weber also demonstrated excuse me, that disturbances of the mitosis in cancer cases are actually not endogenic and genetically controlled, but exogenic, and they are based on infectious degrees of the hosting organism. The cells may divide, forming new multiple nuclei cells like leprosy or syphilis. When the body is also depleted of nutrients, mitosis abruptly stops and the cells are starting to die. So the brain, blood, and liver are the most resistant organs in this sense, and the kidneys and lungs are the most fragile organs. First cancer manifestations after the CA-PARASITIC have started their 4-stage evolution. They appear on the skin, for example, through exanthemas, rashes, eczemas, and our skin-dependent organs such as the mucosa membrane, the epithelial inlay, hair, nails. Acne might appear, rosacea, psoriasis, scleroderma, syphilis, skin rash, etc., etc., as you can see also in the pictures on the right. At the stage 2 and 3 of the parasitic infection, you might get symptoms such as fever, night sweats, whereby the sweats are outside and inside of the body, affecting dramatically different organs which are now being damaged. And Dr. Weber also found that CA-PARASITIC in all patients who suffer from polyarthritis, osteoporosis, rheumatism, kidney and liver disorders, lung conditions, as well as dermatologic conditions and psychological and mental ones. Okay, so now that we've understood that cancer and many debilitating chronic conditions are actually caused by microparasites, what can we do? And here we have compiled a list of what we call the 10 commandments. And the major cancer therapy problems, first of all, are the lack of knowledge and acceptance that this parasitic infection is one of the major cancer causes, and secondly, that the infected but necrotized tissue and massive die-offs must be correctly cleansed and purged from your organism. Otherwise, they will continually block the normal functions and the regeneration capabilities of major organs such as your liver, the kidneys, your limbs, bone marrow, and brain. So, what can we do to successfully keep those microparasites in check and detoxify our organism? There are, of course, great holistic solutions, and here you have the most important ones. So, we first must support the infected cells to heal themselves and get rid of the microparasites without destroying the healthy cells. This is what unfortunately chemotherapy and radiation therapy does. So the best recommended natural antiparasitic remedy is our unique vivid artemisinin that is mixed with very high purity DMSO, 40% extract. So do not destroy the infected cells to kill the parasites. Go selectively after the parasites, and this is what vivid artemisinin without any side effects will achieve for you. Of course, to all of these solutions, I'm gonna post the links in the description box below, as always. The second one you can do is you must detoxify your body in depth, especially your liver, your kidney, the connective tissue, and here the best recommended tool is the so-called MedMatrix system. Of course, you find presentations also on those solutions on our channel. If you need more information, or just call us up, as always, 1-888-773-3196. We love to recommend to you the best solution that is just tailor-made for your needs, and of course help you with all of your inquiries and questions and whatever is on your mind. So never hesitate to give us a call and discuss your problems with us. Third, a very good tool and commandment that you have to follow is purge out the microparasite die-offs by cleansing your colon, your liver, your kidney, your connective tissue, and the best recommended tools are homozones, hydrocolonics, ozone insufflation, or ozonated oils. You also need to boost your immune system, of course, using specific vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and of course a healthy nutrition. We recommend that you supplement with magnesium, vitamin C, vitamin D3 and K2, vitamin B12, as well as vitamin B complexes. You also have to take care of your cellular tissue and repair it and re-establish the correct functionality of the affected organs. It is also called a milieu therapy. So you must optimize your pH and your redox potential, your membrane potential. And here we highly recommend galvanic therapy and blood electrification with a very great Veget balance system. Again, links in the description box below. You should also energize your body and boost the mitochondrial activity to gain energy. Here we recommend, of course, first exercising, just pure walking helps already. Usage of L-carnitine, coenzyme Q10, L-arginine, quercetin, OPCs, nattokinase, which is an antioxidant and a blood thinner. Also recommended are the great devices called Aquatone Advance and again galvanic therapy with the Veget balance system. Also meditate, relax, relieve stress, clean active psycho-emotional conflicts and the negative state of mind by forgiving and forgetting. Also avoid or diminish electrosmoke burdens. Here we recommend the Triomed CGI and the VitaChip. Adjust also your body biochemistry and repolarize the sick cells. Here the best results can be achieved with the Geno 62 and the Veget balance galvanic therapy system again. And check out regularly the quality of the medication and therapies that you receive and correct this if the results do not show improvement of your symptoms. So a balanced autonomic nervous system activity, Also organ and body fluid tests should be performed regularly. So here we recommend, for example, that you always perform an ANS analysis with the ANS analysis Pro system for monitoring live if the medication and the therapy that are being applied are suitable to your condition. And you should also check over 250 parameters of your body with the unique bioscan system and 70 organ states with the ROFE system. Next, I would like to go a little bit more in depth into some of the great solutions that we've mentioned in the last slide. First, the unique cancer therapy using vivid artemisinin. Why? Because artemisinin is an amazing natural solution. It's a major bioactive component that is present in the so-called Artemisia annua plant, and our unique extraction method produces a very high concentration in artemisinin of more than 25%. You cannot get this anywhere else. This concentrated live, that's why we call it vivid artemisinin, so shows also an unbeatable bioactivity of over 98%, and this also is unparalleled so far. All the other alcohol or glycerin extracts that you can obtain commercially are only 0.5 to 2% in concentration of artemisinin, and ours is more than 25%. Also, our extract contains not only artemisinin in a 25 times more concentrated form, but it carries all the other natural components of the Artemisia plant, like the flavonoids, that have been proven to make this plant such a powerful medicine, as they all work synergistically. So the flavonoids in Artemisia leaves have been linked to the suppression of the so-called CYP450 enzymes, and those are responsible for altering the absorption of the metabolism of the artemisinin in your body. But it has also been linked to a beneficial immunomodulatory activity in subjects that are afflicted with parasitic and chronic diseases of cancer. And our special extraction method is protecting also the plant's powerful natural ingredients in their unoxidized form. That's why it has this nice grassy green color, while all the other available products on the market have a whitish to dark brown color, showing that all the peroxide groups have already been oxidized and the extract is not as powerful anymore. Vivid artemisinin extract is also very effective to treat parasitic diseases such as malaria and toxoplasmosis, Lyme disease, and co-infections, as well as over 50 other types of cancer. And we add ultra pure DMSO, 99.995 pharmaceutical grade DMSO, to enhance the vivid artemisinin's anti-cancer effect. And this is also unique. Why does vivid artemisinin work so well in those cancer cases and against those microparasites specifically? Well, because vivid artemisinin reacts with the iron to form free radicals that kill the cancer cells. And since cancer cells uptake relatively large amounts of iron, much more than normal cells, they are more susceptible to the bioactive artemisinin. There is also no toxicity of vivid artemisinin for healthy cells. Chinese researchers said that the key to its cancer curative effects is the so-called peroxide linkage, so two oxygen atoms that are hooked together within a herb's active molecule, and all peroxides share a common feature, which is that in the presence of free iron, they break down to form highly reactive oxygen-based free radicals. And malaria as well as cancer are parasitic diseases, as we have seen, so infections caused by Plasmodia type Protozoa that infect the iron-rich red blood cells. And while the body avidly shields iron in a bound-up state, hemoglobin, enzymes, etc., excess iron accumulates in the parasite, and the accumulations allows some iron to spill out of the bound state and become free. And when artemisinin touches the iron, boom, and a huge burst of free radicals is unleashed, and this virtually blows up the cell that is harboring the free iron and destroys the parasites. Some 7 years ago, Dr. Lyra, who was aware of the high accumulation of iron in cancer cells, wondered if this same mechanism might work for cancer treatment. And he and his colleague, Dr. Singh, conducted experiments in the laboratory and documented 100% killing of breast cancer cells in only some hours. And more importantly, it left normal breast cells and white blood cells unscathed. So, and 1 year ago, an article appeared in a major cancer journal demonstrating significant anti-cancer effects of artemisinin in a wide variety of laboratory cultured cancer cells. So over 77 different cancer cells were studied, and artemisinin killed over 77 different types of cancer cells. Cancer's resistance to common chemotherapy drugs shows no such resistance to artemisinin, also no side effects and toxicity has been ever observed with artemisinin. It does not have the chemical structure a cancer cell requires to develop resistance, and this was reported recently in the International Journal of Oncology, issue number 18, if you want to check it out, published in 2001. Another great holistic tool that I would like to explain a little bit more in depth and why it works so great for these parasitic infections is the so-called electro cancer therapy, ECT for short. In our previous video, in one of them, we presented galvanic current therapy, and galvanic currents again are DC currents. They are totally free of impulses or frequencies, and opposite to all of the AC current that we use for our daily appliances that come at 60 or 50 hertz of AC current, alternative current, or other frequency devices such as TENS devices, interference, or PEMF, or even light and phototherapy system. So galvanic current always moves in only one direction, from the positive to the negative pole. Galvanic cancer therapy is known to work because cancer cells have approximately 10 times lower cellular conductivity than malignant cells. So it is 300 to 800 ohms for benign cells compared to 2,500 ohms for the healthy cells. And this means that a galvanic current will preferentially move first through the sick cells and will leave the healthy cells untouched. One of the systems that we recommend that you can even use at home is the so-called Wedgett balance system that helps heal active tumors, ease tissue repair, and prevents cancer recidivation or metastasis. It is a very simple to use and handy tool, easy to operate even if you are not a doctor, and it gives you enormous benefits for your health in general. You just have 4 electrodes that you will place around the cancerous breast or the other tumor area that you have. The galvanic therapy and DMSO have something in common, either through galvanic currents or through such a highly polarized molecule as DMSO. The sick or the cancerous cells membrane permeability is increased, and whichever remedies you use in addition to that can more easily access the cancerous cell. And that's why we think that the combination of the two make the cancer go away much easier and faster. So why does ECT always help heal your cancer? Well, because the cancerous cells have a reduced cellular membrane permeability, and therefore it is difficult to penetrate those cells even with chemo drugs, and they are 10 times more conductive. Thus the galvanic currents penetrate easier into the tumor cells compared with the healthy cells. Through galvanic therapy, the cancer cells membrane permeability significantly increases, and the ions from outside of the cells are carried by the galvanic current to penetrate inside. And during this galvanic therapy, there are no inflammations or infections possible. They will feel no pain, and the tumor necrotizes slowly and either comes to the surface or is being decomposed inside of your body. And you can be sure that all of the cancerous tissue will be removed, and the cancer relapses are also not possible with this therapy. You only need local anesthesia, if at all, because it is pain-free, as I've mentioned. And in this graph, you can see very nicely how the ECT therapy destroys the tumor cell and the protozoa. So on the right, the anode side, the negative ions accumulate around this anode and will generate their chloric acid, which is very acidic, as the name already suggests. It has a pH value of only 2. On the other side, the positive ions, which are usually metallic ions, will move automatically towards the cathode, which is the negative pole here on the left of the picture, and will generate their hydroxyl ions, which are very alkaline. They have a pH value of 13, and this high difference in pH value between the anode and the cathode of 2 to 13 within one cell will immediately destroy the cell, and it will practically liquefy. And here in these pictures, you can see, for example, the treatment of breast cancer with electrocurrent therapy. This, by the way, has been approved in Germany, for example, by the Ministry of Health as a cancer treatment. So it's being used already in clinics. Of course, we give you the opportunity to use the same technology also at home with this unique Wedget balance system, which is much more inexpensive and easier to handle than those professional systems that the clinics use. But the principle behind it and the working manner is the same, so it works just as well. Here you see, for example, that they've applied the currents through needles around the breast, and you see the starting point, the ACT therapy at the lymph nodes under the axil, and how the tumor necrotizes, so where the microparasites come out literally like a pus that comes out of the tumor, and then the happy end after only 12 weeks of this therapy method. Another great holistic tool, or in this case a trio of holistic tools that are very inexpensive, easy to use even at home, and they help keep those microparasites in check and kill them. We call it a healing trio, and it's a bundle of 3 devices that are all great by themselves, but even better when combined. The Geno 62, the Aquatone Advance, and the Triomed CGI. And while the Geno 62 works through digitalized sound frequencies to improve a biochemical balance between the 62 chemical elements that make up your body. It also balances your autonomic nervous system and the brain activity, and it delivers a mental and psycho-emotional training to delete the negative patterns in your mind, and it carries frequencies to heal microparasitic infections. The Aquatone Advance or the Aquatone Professional work with extraordinarily high frequencies, and they support a general detoxification. They improve blood and lymph rheology. They boost the immune system. They also show anti-cancer activity through fibroblast proliferation, and it is also an exceptional pain relief device, and you should combine this all with another, the third device in this healing trio, the Triomed CGI, which is the smallest portable biofeedback device that works mostly on the cellular membrane to increase the membrane permeability that we've discussed already, and the cellular potential, and it is therefore the perfect shield against electrosmog also, and psycho-mental balancing platform. All right, let's sum this all up and see what we have learned today. Well, we've learned first that there is no one single miracle solution or therapy procedure for curing all types of cancer. It's not that easy. Cancer therapies, to be successful, must come with lifestyle changes and has to go through many steps before you get to a complete cancer remission. According to Dr. Alfons Weber, we've learned also that cancer is most probably a microparasitic infection with a so-called CA-PARASITIC of the Plasmodium type. And this microparasitic infection is a cause of many health conditions as well as cancer, and this has been experimentally researched by many renowned microbiologists and doctors. The most fundamental work, of course, was performed by Dr. Weber himself, who succeeded in recording and filming live those CA protozoa in their development stages up to the cancer outbreak. And as I've mentioned already, stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, because very soon we're gonna deliver you the live footage from that. The protozoa microparasites have also been found in blood cells, the blood plasma, and in all tumor tissues of cancer patients during their lifetime and even after their death. Chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation that is used normally by the medical establishment kills those parasites, but unfortunately the problem is that it also destroys the healthy body cells. It deeply jeopardizes the immune system and compromises the blood and lymphatic fluid quality. It also destroys different tissues, and thereby it helps even spread those parasites through biopsies and surgeries. And with chemo and radiation, you have a 98% chance of cancer recidives, and you significantly shorten your life expectancy as the microparasites survive even fire, water, dirt, the chemo drugs, the radiation, but you unfortunately don't. And so, to correctly heal cancer, you will take at least 3 to 6 months, depending on your cancer stage and your general health. We do offer viable and proven therapy methods that are holistic and have very little to no side effects. And we use only natural remedies, as you've seen, such as vivid artemisinin and different therapy devices to eradicate the microparasite infection and thus bring your cancer into remission. Our methods help boost your immune system also. They repolarize the cells, they detoxify your body, and they adjust your body biochemistry. They also reestablish the autonomic nervous system's autoregulation capabilities, as well as a psychosomatic balance. So it is a truly holistic approach. And if you need our help, please give us a call, 1-888-773-3196. That is 1-888-773-3196. We love to talk to you and give you the best advice according to your specific condition. You can also contact us, of course, at shop@lyranara.com. All the information about the devices and supplements presented in this video is going to be in the description box below, as always, together with our contact information. So do not hesitate. We love to talk to you. If you enjoyed this presentation, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay healthy.